All right, hold on to your hats, folks, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of Renaissance fairs. You know,
Yeah,
those awesome events with jousting and crafts and enough turkey legs to feed a small army.
it's right.
We've got a stack of articles and Wikipedia pages right here.
hmm
And let me tell you, the story behind these fairs is way more interesting than you might think.
Oh, absolutely. When most people think of Renaissance fairs, they think of the sights and the sounds and the chance to escape into like a world of knights and nobles and ladies.
Right.
But the true origin story is anything but medieval.
Ooh. Okay, I'm ready for this historical plot twist.
So to really understand it, we need to go back to 1960s California,
Okay.
a time of, social change and counterculture movements,
Mhm.
and all with this like lingering anxiety from the Cold War still kind of hanging in the air.
Yeah.
And right in the middle of all of this was a woman named Phyllis Patterson.
Okay.
Now, Phyllis was a teacher with a real passion for history
I like her already.
and a bit of a rebellious spirit, you could say.
Ooh, rebellious spirit, huh?
Hmm.
I'm even more intrigued now. What made Phyllis so rebellious?
Well, she flat out refused to sign a loyalty oath that was required for her job.
Oh, wow.
And this was during the Red Scare, remember, when anti-communist paranoia was at an all-time high?
Right, yeah.
People in government positions, especially teachers, they were being asked to pledge their loyalty and denounce communism.
Yeah,
But Phyllis, she wasn't one to back down from her principles.
good for her.
So instead of signing, she decided to take a very different path. And it's a path that would lead to the creation of the first ever Renaissance Fair.
Wow, talk about sticking to your guns.
Hmm?
So how does a rebellious teacher in the middle of the Cold War end up creating the Renaissance Fair? I mean, it seems like a pretty big jump from refusing to sign a piece of paper.
It is a big jump, and it really shows Phyllis's creativity and her passion for history.
Yeah.
You see, she used a very specific form of theater to teach her students about the past, and it was called commedia dell'arte.
Commedia dell'arte. Okay, that rings a bell, but can you refresh my memory? What exactly is that again?
So basically, it's a form of Italian improvisational theater that actually flourished during the Renaissance.
Okay.
Think colorful costumes, exaggerated characters,
Okay.
plenty of physical comedy.
I'm starting to get it.
It was like the opposite of like a stuffy Shakespearean play.
Right.
And it really captured that spirit of playful rebellion that Phyllis, embodied.
Okay, yeah, now it's all coming back to me. Those stock characters, the slapstick humor, it was all about engaging the audience and breaking the fourth wall, right?
Absolutely.
So how did Phyllis go from teaching this in a classroom to launching the first Renaissance Fair?
Well, after leaving her teaching position, she decided to channel her love for commedia dell'arte and this, her passion for the Renaissance into something bigger, something that could bring people together.
Yeah.
She wanted to create an immersive experience, something that would transport people back in time, even if just for a day or two.
I love that.
And so, in her own backyard, the first Renaissance Fair was born.
I love it. It's amazing to think that something as big and popular as Renaissance fairs, like we know them, started in someone's backyard. But I have to ask, what did people actually experience at this first fair? Was it like super historically accurate, or was it more of a creative interpretation?
From what our sources say, it was a bit of both.
Uh-huh.
She had historical costumes and Renaissance-inspired crafts, but the emphasis really was on creating just a really fun and engaging atmosphere where people could just let loose and embrace their
It
imaginations.
sounds like it really captured that free-spirited vibe of the 1960s,
Oh, absolutely. And you have to remember, this was a time when people were questioning authority, challenging norms, really seeking out new forms of expression. And Phyllis's Renaissance Fair, with this emphasis on creativity, individuality, and, a healthy dose of playful rebellion,
Right.
it really became a haven for, like, artists, musicians, and anyone who just felt drawn to that countercultural spirit.
Yeah, totally.
Even the radio station that sponsored the first fair, KPFK, was known for its alternative, kind of like free-thinking programming.
It's fascinating how all these threads kind of wove together: the Cold War, a teacher's passion, this specific type of theater, and a desire for something different to create something totally new and unexpected.
Yeah,
I love it.
it really is remarkable. And
Yeah.
you know what? That first backyard Renaissance fair, total smash hit.
Okay, you can't just leave me hanging like that. Spill the mead. How did it go?
Picture this.
Cool.
3,000 people showed up to Phyllis's backyard over the course of 2 days.
Get out of here.
They were drawn to the music, the costumes, the handmade goods, that electric atmosphere. It was a hit.
Wow. 3,000 people. That's incredible.
Yeah,
It sounds like Phyllis really tapped into something special.
she did.
It makes you wonder how a backyard gathering in California transformed into this nationwide phenomenon that Renaissance fairs are today.
Right.
I mean, they're everywhere.
And that's where our deep dive gets even more interesting. From that single spark in California, the Renaissance Fair concept, it started to spread, taking root in some unexpected places and really capturing people's imaginations all across the country.
All right, I am so ready to hear about this expansion.
And when I say unexpected places, I
Yeah.
really mean it.
Okay.
So by 1967, you have another Renaissance Fair popping up in Northern California. But then in 1971, the concept makes its way to Minnesota.
Hold on, Minnesota. That's a pretty far cry from the beaches and, like, the counterculture vibes of California. Did the formula really translate to a totally different part of the country?
That's the amazing thing. Each fair kind of developed its own regional flair.
Okay.
But those core elements resonated with people everywhere. That
Yeah.
desire for escape,
Oh, yeah.
that celebration of creativity, the
Yeah.
chance to just step outside the everyday, it proved to be, pretty universal.
Yeah, it's like underneath all the costumes and the quirky traditions, Ren Fairs tapped into something like deeply human.
Mm-hmm.
That need for connection, for play, for a little magic in our lives.
Absolutely.
No wonder people keep coming back year after year.
And it's interesting to think about how Renaissance fairs compare to something like a theme park, for example.
Yeah?
You know that Smithsonian article you share?
Yeah.
It makes a really good point about that.
Okay, tell me more. I love a good comparison, especially when it comes to Ren Fairs.
Well, the article argues that while theme parks offer kind of this safe and homogenized version of entertainment,
Okay.
Renaissance fairs are kind of like at the other end of the spectrum, right?
So instead of carefully controlled rides and like those scripted shows,
Right.
Ren Fairs are more about, what, organized chaos?
Yeah, exactly. A little dangerous, a little edgy, a lot more open to individual expression.
Right.
It's no wonder they became havens for artists and musicians and, anyone looking for a less conventional path.
Totally.
Remember that YouTuber we learned about?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Their passion for Ren Fairs was contagious.
Yeah.
You could just tell it was more than just entertainment to them. It was like a community,
Yeah.
a creative outlet, a way of life even.
That's what's so special about these events. They foster that sense of belonging,
Yeah.
of finding your tribe and just expressing yourself authentically.
It is interesting, though, because for events that are inspired by a specific historical period, Renaissance fairs, well, let's just say historical accuracy isn't always their strong suit.
Yeah, you've hit on a major point of contention within the Renaissance Fair community, the authenticity debate.
Right.
Some people argue for a more historically rigorous approach,
Yeah.
like a living history museum almost,
Oh.
while others are really prioritizing the entertainment aspect and embracing the fantasy that's become synonymous with these events.
Right. It's like choosing between a perfectly preserved tapestry and, like, a vibrant, slightly chaotic street performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Both have their merits, you know.
For sure. And it's interesting to see how Phyllis Patterson, the original Ren Fair pioneer, how she navigated this.
Yeah, what did you think?
Well, in those early years, she really prioritized creating that playful, engaging experience,
Yeah.
even if it meant sacrificing a bit of historical accuracy.
Which makes sense given, like, the free-spirited nature of the time.
Right, exactly. But as the fairs grew, her perspective kind of shifted.
Okay.
In later years, she actually focused more on the authenticity, incorporating those educational elements, striving for a more accurate portrayal.
That's interesting. That's a fascinating evolution.
Yeah.
It's almost like the fairs themselves matured, you know? Like, they went from those rebellious youngsters to something with, like, a deeper sense of purpose.
And you see this reflected in a lot of Renaissance fairs today. Like, you still have your turkey legs and your whimsical elements.
Of course, yeah.
But there's a growing emphasis on historical crafts,
Okay.
educational demonstrations,
Right.
even attempts to recreate, like, period-specific language and dialect.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Staying true to that spirit of fun and creativity
Mm.
while also, like, acknowledging the historical context that kind of sparked this whole movement.
Exactly. A great example of this in action is the Texas Renaissance Festival and their themed weekends.
Themed weekends. Okay, now you're speaking my language. What do you mean, like, jousting tournaments with a side of, like, time-traveling pirates?
Not quite, but that does sound pretty epic. The Texas Renaissance Festival takes a more like structured approach.
What?
Instead of just like full anachronism, each weekend has a theme
Oh, yeah.
that connects to the broader historical context, even if it's not, strictly Renaissance era.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued. Give me the highlights.
So they have your classic Oktoberfest celebration, a
Okay.
nod to like the German culture and tradition.
Right.
And then they have weekends dedicated to Celtic culture,
Oh.
pirate adventures,
Cool.
and even a 1001 Dreams theme, which is like fantastical costumes and this whimsical fairy tale atmosphere.
I love that. It's
Yep.
like they're acknowledging that history can be a little fluid,
Yeah.
especially when fun is involved.
Yeah.
But they're doing it in a way that still feels very connected to like the overall spirit of the Renaissance Fair. The creativity, the community, the chance to like really escape the everyday.
You got it. And it all circles back to that human desire for something more,
Yeah,
something beyond just the mundane.
right.
And that leads us to like a really big question.
Okay.
Why are Renaissance fairs so enduring? What keeps people coming back year after year, even with, some of the historical inaccuracies and these quirky traditions?
That's what I've been wondering this whole time.
Right.
What is it about these fairs that continues to capture our imaginations?
Yeah.
Is it more than just the allure of like a giant turkey leg?
Oh, it's definitely more than the turkey leg.
Okay.
Although I'll admit those are tempting.
They are good.
But our sources, especially that Smithsonian article, they point to a few key factors. And
Okay, you've got me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Beyond the turkey legs,
Yeah.
what keeps people coming back to Renaissance fairs year after year?
well, I think it's like when you step through those gates, you're stepping into a world of escapism, right?
Okay, yeah.
You can shed your modern skin and just embrace a different persona, even if it's just for a day.
Yeah.
Want to be a knight, a princess, a wandering bard telling tales? You can.
It's true.
Mm.
You can even like rock a giant foam sword and no one looks at you twice.
Exactly.
In fact, they might like challenge you to a duel.
Right. And that ties into another reason for the appeal, this playfulness.
Okay.
Ren fairs really let you tap into that childlike sense of wonder and imagination that often gets lost in just, the everyday.
Totally.
And it's not just individual escapism either.
Right, because you walk through a Renaissance fair and you're immediately part of something much bigger.
Exactly. There's this powerful sense of community at these events,
Yeah.
People from all walks of life, history buffs, fantasy lovers, families.
Right.
They all come together and they celebrate this shared love for something, unique and engaging.
It's like finding your tribe, but your tribe dresses in like velvet doublets
Yes.
and knows how to like wield a broadsword.
Precisely. And let's not forget the creativity on display.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've got elaborate costumes and handmade crafts, spontaneous musical performances.
Right.
I mean, Ren fairs are like a hotbed of artistic expression.
When I think about why I love Ren fairs, it's that sense of freedom.
Mm.
Like, you just have permission to be unapologetically yourself.
And that is a beautiful observation. And I think it really gets to the heart of why Phyllis Patterson's creation, this thing that was born out of rebellion and a desire for something more,
Yeah.
it still resonates so strongly today, you know?
Yeah.
Renaissance fairs, they might have their quirks
Yep.
and, a few historical inaccuracies here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
But they offer the space where people can just really embrace their individuality.
It's more than just entertainment then. It's like a chance to step outside of the box,
Yeah.
connect with like-minded spirits,
Yeah.
maybe even discover something new about yourself.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful experiences, they come from embracing the unexpected, the playful, and just, being authentically you.
I love that.
Oh.
Well, there you have it. We journeyed through the, unexpected origins of Renaissance fairs.
They did.
Explored their evolution, uncovered the reasons behind their, huge appeal.
Yeah.
Who knew there were so many layers to these whimsical events?
It's amazing.
It really is. So the next time you bite into that giant turkey leg or you're cheering on a jousting night, just remember you're experiencing like a piece of history,
Yeah.
a celebration of individuality, and a whole lot of fun, all rolled into one. Until our next deep dive.
Huzzah.